Okay, well, this is really, and I just need to begin by just putting a disclaimer on this. You know, we're not qualified to give sort of nutritional advice. We're not qualified in that realm. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to show you some things, and we're going to give you the information. Okay, so then I can't be sued because I'm just giving you the information. So if you go and grow some wheatgrass and choke on it and try to sue me for it, I'll say, well, I only gave you some information about it. I didn't tell you. You see where I'm coming from? So we need to do these things nowadays with the PC Brigade and all that. So this is going to be for information. You'll get a lot from it. And it's really from when we went to Spain with Felicity Corbin Wheeler, who you might have seen on Revelation Channel. And so this is what I got when we came back. I got this word on the plane coming back about eating well, moving more, and living longer. Anybody want to fit into that somewhere? You know, most people actually acknowledge that we are what we eat. And even the scientists, the doctors, the medical profession, one of the few things they look at when they're diagnosing people is actually what they eat. In fact, we had two doctors, well, a doctor and somebody else on the course with us, and she said, we never ever consider the diet. Apart from do you smoke and do you drink, they never considered diet. And so, as part of our vision for Victory Church to be an equipping church that enables the whole person, spirit, soul, and body, to have and to live a victorious life, we thought it'd be good to explain and give you some information about our little trip. So we've got some props here, but I'm going to tell you a joke first. Pardon? She might not be after this. I'm renowned for my jokes, as people will know. But, you know, it fits in with this in a little way. So there's this little girl, right, 9 years old, and she's at church. She's called Amy, and she sat with her mum. No inferences there, Joe. And so the preacher starts, and Amy says to her mum, Mum, nudges her mum, I really don't feel very well. So her mum, being a good Christian, the preacher starts, she says, shut up, he's talking. So anyway, the little girl sits there, she's going a bit green. She said, nudges her again, Mum, I really don't, I feel sick. So her mum says, shh, you're in church. You can't be sick in church. Shh. So she carries on. 5 or 10 minutes later, she says, Mum, she says, I'm going to throw up. It's coming. So her mum says, flip your neck. Well, go outside, go to the back of the church, turn right, through the graveyard, there's all the bushes in there. Don't want anybody seeing you being sick. So off she goes, Amy. 30 seconds later, Amy comes back and sits next to her. And the mum looks at her and goes, have you been sick? She says, have you thrown up? She says, yeah. She says, well, where did you go? She says, I didn't go to the bushes. She said, actually, I went to the back of the church and there was a big wooden box there that said, for the sick. Okay. So we don't want people being sick. We want people being well. Okay, so we'll go. We don't want too much joy in the house, do we? So this is where I want to start from. And I've left me thing in the car, so we'll do it on there. Is eating healthy biblical? Well, let's look at how God made it in the beginning, before we had our fast food supermarkets and our fast food retail chains and our fast this and fast that. Let's look at what the Bible says about it. So Genesis 1:29, and God said, behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit, and you shall have them for food. Verse 29, and to every beast of the earth, and every bird of the heavens, to everything that creeps, everything that has breath, I have given every green plant for food. And it was so. So when we went on this course, and Felicity started to tell us about recommending, information given to you, recommending a minimum of 51% raw fruit and vegetables. And one of the ways you can do that is by this, juicing. It's like blue pizza, isn't it? We prepared one earlier as well. It doesn't look very nice, that, actually. We need to stir that up a bit behind the scenes. That's a lot better, that. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you a few things. We've got some props. Now, I've got a volunteer here. Now then, this will cost you, in a beauty shop or whatever, about 30 quid this.
It's to put your feet in, and it shows you what toxins you have in your body. Apparently, when Talitha was here...
Heather, there's a bucket just behind you over there. Could you just bring that for us?
In Abbey Gates in town, you can actually go and have this done. And then depending on what colour the water is, it can tell you what area of toxins are coming out of your body.
Yeah, because what we've been looking at is we've not only got to watch what we put in, but we've got to make sure that we do take out some of the stuff as well. So there's toxins in our body, and there's different ways that we can detox. But one of the easiest ways, and it shows our body discarding things, is with this foot spa thing. So I'm going to fill this up, and then we've got a volunteer, haven't we, Anne?
Anne's volunteered, but you have to put your feet in for half an hour, so we thought we'd do this at the beginning, and then we can see how she does.
Oh, we want a bit more in there, Heather Coley. Can you just put a little bit more in there? Sorry. Just put a little bit more in there for us, Coley, if you want. Sweet, thank you.
Myself and Tom did it before we.
Oh yeah, Wendy and myself did it, right? and Wendy, being the holiest person on planet Earth that never eats anything but cabbage and lettuce, Wendy says after it, "Oh, look at the water; it's crystal clear." So I haven't got any toxins in my body whatsoever. So I got in, and it looked like a hippo had been in there. Well, no, it wasn't that bad, but you'll see, and it's quite interesting. So it takes 30 minutes, so it should just roughly take the time that we do the talk. And so Anne's just going to sit there quietly. If you want to come over, Anne, we're nearly ready, and we just need... I'll tell you what, don't just go in yet, because I need to just top that to the level where it says.
It's just got to put a bit more water in.
I'm going to put some in. We don't want to electrocute you, Anne, Okay.
Shall I do the introduction?
Well, not yet, because we still need to go through the next one next. So if you do the next one, Judy, while we're just doing this. So there's not just the first verse in Genesis that shows us about eating seeds and eating vegetables and eating from the ground. Daniel, chapter 1. Just put a little bit more in that. We'll get this going, and then we can be done then. I bet Kenneth Copeland don't do this,
Jesus did.
Yeah.
Jesus did.
Okay. There you go. Stick your feet in there.
Anne's come prepared with the flip-flops. Is it warm enough? Is it nice?
Well, it will get colder, but... Oh, you haven't put this thing in, Wendy, yet? You need the salt
the salt.
thing. Where's the salt thing?
I'll just time it as well.
Oh.
Yeah. We have to put the salt in, because it doesn't work without.
Just water, and then this is like an ionising
thing. Salt.
We was going to put some of them little fishes in there. Them little fishes that you get, but we didn't think that she'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. I told you it was going to be interactive and it was going to be a bit of fun. So here we have Daniel now, and basically you can read that story yourself, but the king tried to persuade them to eat his type of food, which you can imagine what a king's food would be like. Joints of this and rich wine and rich foods. And so Daniel resolved that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with his wine that he drank. Therefore, he asked the chief of the eunuchs to allow him not to defile himself. And you can read that yourself. And he goes for 10 days without the king's food. And then at the end of the 10 days, you can read it yourself, they look fitter. The army looked fitter. They look fatter. And here's the thing. Some people think that if you just eat bird food and rabbit food, that you're going to lose loads of weight. Well, you will lose some weight, but you'll actually look fitter and you'll actually look healthier. And so this was in Daniel all them years ago. So we can still use the same model today. And then lastly, remember what we said? There's one more on there, Judy. Should be. And the next one. Oh, sorry, the back one, sorry. This is it, verse 11, 12, 13. Daniel said, test your servants for 10 days. Let us be given vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then let our appearance and the appearance of the youths who eat the king's food. So he split them into two camps, and he said, okay, we'll put a test in there. These will just eat vegetables and water, and these will eat the king's rich food. And then when you look at it in the next few verses, you'll see that the king's food, they look poor on it. And so much so that they withdrew that food. And the armies only from then on did it this way. So we're talking about eating well, and then as I mentioned, about moving more. Okay, so Wendy and myself, now then, not everybody can do this. I understand that. Not everybody can cycle 20 miles, okay? But a lot of us can walk a couple of miles. A lot of us can cycle 3 or 4 miles, or go to the gym and go on a cycle if it's bad. But we went on this cycle ride last week, and I've got a Strava device, which is on my phone. It fits on the handlebars. And when I got back, just one 20-mile cycle ride was 650 calories. That's quite good for an hour's exercise. And so if you look at the recommended daily allowance of calories for men, 2,500, women 2,000, it's all about getting the balance right again. You know, if you put in more than you take out, guess what you're going to do? You're going to get fat or put on weight. And so that's not how, God wants us to eat well, move more, and live longer. Amen? So we're going to show you some of the things then that we've learned, and then we're going to do the foot spa thing at the end. So,
just a little bit about how we, like Tom said earlier, we're learning about this, and I can't learn quick enough. Every spare moment I've been learning, and really it's not about a diet. I heard something that says, let food be your medicine, and let medicine be your food. So it's just a healthy way of living, so it's not a diet. And whatever we eat, we can actually use our food as medicine to get ourselves better from any disease on the planet of the earth, which is such good news, isn't it? Any disease, we can get better by changing what we put on the inside of us. And I started watching, it was Gordon actually kept sending me messages saying, watch Revelation channel, Felicity Wheeler. And you get that busy, don't you, that you don't really seem to get round to these things. And he kept sending them. I thought, it's on Friday morning on Revelation TV. And again on Saturday, I think 10:30, a repeat. So I watched it and I was absolutely fascinated. And then I saw at the bottom, she said that she was having a 4-day course which you could attend. So I think I actually got on the phone there and then and phoned Revelation TV. And they got in touch with Felicity, and she actually phoned me. And there and then, I booked to go on the course. I found the hotel. It was in Mijas in Spain. So I was all set to go on my own, but I invited Tom to come, because I didn't want Tom to come. I didn't want him to come under duress, if he wasn't ready, to hear about it. But he says, no, I'll come. So we went there just a few weeks ago. And Felicity's story is fascinating. She's now 73. She's a really, if you go on her website, she's a really glamorous lady. But 11 years ago, she was diagnosed with cancer, pancreatic cancer. And I've spoken to some doctors, and they say you never, ever get better from pancreatic cancer. She is a Christian, and she went, it was Holy Trinity, Brompton, where the Alpha course is held. And she met a doctor there, and she recommended her to go to, it's called Hallelujah Acres in America. And she went there, and she started detoxing her body. And 11 years later, there's not one trace of cancer in her body. And she's really, really healthy. So she's now passionate to want to help other people. And Revelation Channel graciously gave her a slot to proclaim what she was learning. And I think it airs to about 169 countries, so it's reaching a lot of people. But also, previous to that, she was passionate because her daughter, who was 20 years old, before she knew about all this and before she was a Christian, her daughter actually died. Her daughter was 20 years old and she died. And apparently there was living in a farm in Jersey, so there was getting loads of milk, which we'll go on to that, but also there was a well. And the well, she was thinking there was drinking a lot of water. The well was actually contaminated, and that's what set the cancer off in her body. So she was teaching us I drink loads and loads of water, but I normally just drink bottled water. But she said it's not a good way. The bottles can be stored in like warehouses, for months, perhaps even a year or so. So she said just have tap water, but buy a water distiller. I'm just about to order one to make sure that you're drinking the correct kind of water. So obviously she's passionate about it. Her husband actually died of cancer as well. So her desire is just to get this word out, especially to Christians, so that we can live long, we can keep on ministering to other people, but obviously to everybody who's interested. So we went there, and it was in her house, and it was really good because there was only myself, Tom. There was a young GP there who wanted to learn, and her sister. So there was just 4 of us. So we was able to have, like one-to-one questions at time because we arrived there early. So it was absolutely fantastic. And since I've got back, people who I work with, I've been telling them about, and it's amazing how many people are looking for answers, because there's a lot of politics out there, and the pharmaceutical companies and the governments are trying to withhold this information back from people, which, we can't mention it all, but she showed us a DVD, and they're actually trying to withhold it back. People are getting chemotherapy. Her daughter, Felicity's daughter, actually died because Felicity's a nurse of the chemotherapy. But she's seen people getting healed of cancer, and other people are as well, just by using natural methods and getting back to God's plan, because God's plan will always work, won't it? Even to the point she went, I think it's to New Zealand, and because she's teaching this, it is quite dangerous because people are trying to stop it, and she even had to have a security guard. And another lady called Anne Wigmore, who you might have heard about, this was like quite a few years ago. She was teaching this and starting up an organisation. And she was actually, they said it was very suspicious circumstances. She was actually found burnt to death. And then the man who started the Gerson therapy, Max Gerson, he had cancer, and he got himself better through juicing and detoxing his body from cancer himself. So there's an organisation and a group called the Gerson Therapy that got developed. So he was just on juicing and detoxing, that kind of lifestyle. And he was actually found dead through poisoning. So again, they said that was very suspicious circumstances. So what Felicity's teaching, and even us standing here, we've just got to be bold, really, because I want people to be well and have answers, and other people do as well. So it's good that all this is being exposed. It's like the food industry is just like the mafia, really. When you start learning about it, and nobody's ever told us, but thankfully it is coming out, isn't it? The information. But if I get hold of anything and it's injustice, I have to be bold and tell people. If you've got something good on the inside of us, you've got to tell other people, haven't you? You can't keep it away from people.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah. So you need to do that one now, because you've gone ahead of yourself, so you need to get there. I'll leave you. Okay, next one then. So that's about Felicity, and then we're going to go through a few points, and we're going to go through some what we've referred to as landmines. Everybody know what a landmine is? Step on it, boom. And so some of these things are triggers. Some of these things we take for granted. We don't really listen. It's for information. If you want to go away and not take any notice, that's fine. But we're going to give you some information. And so this is about this bit about chemicals and what we're doing, really. And I've got some quotes here. So toxic chemicals are poured onto, you see, years ago, if we put chemicals on our soils, it wouldn't bother too much, because we farmed them right. We used to have a fallow year, 7th year. God instigated that, but we don't have fallow ground anymore. Not very often, anyway. And then when they put the fertilizers on it, it washes straight away. Where does it wash away to? Washes into our rivers. Where do our rivers go to? Into our sea. What do we do with the sea? We then eat the fish. And then the cycle goes on of the toxicity from the land and from pesticides, from getting maximum yields is what the farmer's business is today. It's not about, it's not about the product so much, it's about the profit in like so many things. So toxic chemicals are poured onto depleted land, poisoning us. The chemicals are washed with rain into our wells, rivers, and unfortunately the sea. Dr. Brian Clement, director of Hippocrates Health Institute in Florida, says that in 40 years' time, if we go on as we are, there will be no fish left. Boy, what will you do? I don't know. That'd be tragic. I don't want to take up golf. So we need to go back to really looking at what we eat and getting it from the Genesis diet, getting it from the way Genesis talks us about. So chemical drugs, oh, sorry, that's your bit. Oh, no, that's my bit. Where are we now? Oh, chemicals and drugs we was on about, weren't we? So let's look at drugs as well then. Today, very, very rare will a GP, a drop-in centre, a hospital ask you a lot of information. They'll just get the basics and then bung you some prescription that some pharmaceutical company is actually pressuring them to sell before they even look at what you eat, how you eat, what times you eat, and stuff like that. So chemical drugs are not natural to the body. God, in the beginning, when we look at the Genesis thing about eating of the land and eating of the vegetables, there wasn't anything in there about aspirins, paracetamols, ibuprofen, or whatever. Am I saying I'm against those things? Of course I'm not. What I'm saying is they are alien to us, and what's happened is we've plugged into that, and it's become the norm. We get a headache, pop a pill, don't we? For every ill, pop a pill. That's what they say. And so it's generating for the pharmaceutical companies.
It says use the gospel.
Use the gospel. That's a good one, Wendy. So chemical drugs are not natural to the body. They cannot rebuild our broken immune system. Each chemical drug produces harmful side effects in the body. And then what do we see? They prescribe another drug for the side effects. And we watched a program the other day, and this guy, he had a suitcase solely for his medicines. And there was hundreds of tablets and injections and stuff, and most of them were for the side effects. If you take this, you'll feel this, so take that, and that will give you a side effect, so you need this. Who's the winner in all this? The pharmaceutical companies.
It was a man, and Jason Vale, who sort of is like the Jamie Oliver of juicing. He actually has a place in Portugal where people can go for a retreat, and he chose 8 people to go on this retreat for 28 days, and I think there was 26 diseases amongst all the people, and they just did juicing for 28 days, and at the end of the 28 days, every single person, all those 8, was better. And there was diabetes, there was arthritis, there was heart conditions, they had doctors there, monitoring the level, and then this guy had got one little suitcase for his clothes and a whole suitcase for his medication. He was on 52 tablets a day, and by the end of it, when he'd actually gone home and they followed him up, he'd carried on with the healthy eating and juicing, and he'd got himself down to 2 tablets. But what Jason said, he looked at the man, and he was so ill. I think it was 50, and he looked about 90. He looked as though he was going to drop dead. And he says, you're on all these and you're not well. He said, do you know what I mean? You can understand if they're on 52 tablets a day and they're well, can you? But to be on all those tablets and still not being well, obviously there's another alternative.
So that's your bit now, when you see yours is. So you're just doing those 2 bits.
This is just a little bit that we was learning from Felicity, because we was asking her about meat, and then we'd been reading about the Genesis diet, from the beginning, and without wanting to offend people, I used to think I knew people who was vegetarians, and I used to think that there was all a little bit strange, but that was because I wasn't educated and I didn't have any knowledge whatsoever. Then as soon as I got the knowledge and I started looking into it, my eyes was just opened so wide to, like what Tom said about all the chemicals, what they're feeding the animals is absolutely, we've got a DVD, what they're feeding the animals and the chemicals that they're using to feed the animals and what they're giving them. It's absolutely
They're all growth
horrendous.
hormones to make the chickens grow. We saw on this video chickens that were too fat because they'd been grown too fast and their legs were snapping under their weight because their legs hadn't formed, but the fat and all they're interested in is the chicken. So they were piling all these growth hormones into these chickens.
But all the animals had got diseases anyhow, and then they was chopping them up and obviously...
Then they go to offal then for the cattle.
Butchering them off towards humans. And then what I've been learning I was just shocked beyond belief because I've always eaten meat and I've never even gave it a second thought. But I've stopped eating meat now because I've been educated and I've got some knowledge, and I don't want all those chemicals in my body affecting me. And scientists say that the finest physicians are now telling us that the vegan diet of plants, vegetables, herbs, fruit, seeds and green plants are the perfect diet for humans. So God was right in the beginning. But the world is willfully ignorant, stuck in the tradition of cooked processed foods. This is the rush of white blood cells to fight foreign substances, cooked and processed foods. That's why they're saying that it's best to have a variety of raw fruits and vegetables, and that's why juicings become popular, because when you cook the food, a lot of the nutrients are actually just being taken out, so you end up eating fruit and vegetables, but it's not doing us any good. Later in Genesis 9:3, after the flood, when our natural food supply had been destroyed, God says, so God once, after the flood, God did actually say that we can eat anything. Because people say, oh, well, in the Bible it says we can eat anything. And probably, but he also says that we've got to be responsible, and things have changed from the Bible days, haven't they? You know, the bread that we used to eat and the meat and everything was grown naturally, so we're on a different era now. So God says that we can now eat anything, so we're free to eat whatever we want. But we are held responsible, and there are consequences for what we choose. We now know that those consequences, what are the consequences really? A sickness and ultimately death. So many people are dying of disease and death, and we don't want to be those people. Our vision at Victory Church is to equip people, body, soul and spirit. So myself and Tom and us as a church family have got a responsibility, to help people in this area. So basically we've got to take responsibility for our own health. We equip people, and then we've got to take responsibility for our own health and finding out. I mean, we're giving you the information, but there's literally so much information out there where you can check everything out. And we've got Marco and Emily here who are a lot more expert than we are. So we've got people in our own house who've got everything that we need to know. So there's people here who are further on than us who can help as well, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the next landmine then, I want to look at juicing and sugar. You know, a guy said to me the other day, he said, sugar is the new cancer. Honestly, you can't believe what processed sugar is like. Now then, did God create sugar in the beginning? Of course he did. But it was totally different from the sugar that the refined, bleached sugar that we have today. And so this is another landmine. But I've just got something about our physical bodies, and again, it's not from me. It says our cells are entirely dependent every second on us feeding them 90 plus nutrients that they need. And they need to be raw living enzymes to give us the electricity, oxygen, hydrogen, and nutrition they can actually use. Magnetically, electrically, chemically, and hormonally. We assimilate this nourishment as protein, carbohydrate, and essential fatty acids. Interesting thing we learned when we was there about protein. Most people, bodybuilders, we go to the gym and things, but most people will say, listen, you've got to have meat, You've got to have meat, you've got to have chicken, you've got to have beef steak, you've got to have, calorie for calorie, 100 calories of a steak and 100 calories of broccoli. Broccoli will double the protein that the steak will. Steaks Don't get me wrong. I'm not quite where Wendy is. I'm still having some meat. We've cut right down on it. You see, moderation's the thing. And so, but steak takes 50% more energy to break it down in our gut system. And all that's, going into just breaking down to get the protein. Why? Just take a juice, get it juiced up there already, raw, bang, straight in there. And I'll tell you, we've been on these for a couple of weeks, and you really look forward to it. You really think to yourself, oh, we've got some made up in the fridge in bottles, which is not the best way because it does depreciate in some of the vitamins and things. The best way, straight in, straight down. So we're going to demonstrate some juicing. Oh, well, I'll do the sugar after this. So we're going to do some of these, and we're going to pass some out, aren't we, Wendy? What are we doing first, then?
This is, she was wondering what this was, because a few people...
It's not cannabis.
No. A few people come into our house, because I have it in the hall, because it's nice and sunny in there, but it's wheatgrass, and it's a superfood, and you can look it up on the internet, but it actually has got so much goodness in it, and this is one of the things that...
Shall I do it for you,
Felicity and the people who went to Hallelujah Acres. Is that trying to keep them quiet?
Right. Who's misbehaving? Have we got a board or anything? Are we just going to... Oh, we'll do these. These are the ones, this is the one we bought. You can get a smaller one, but the beauty of this one is just whole apples. You don't have to peel them. That's me now. Depends if he gives me a cut or not. Jason, yeah. Lemons, you don't have to... Wendy put one in today, an apple with a label still on it. Can you believe that? Sounds like an edge trimmer or something, doesn't it?
I'd like juicing, because my friend years ago, Davida, she always used to say, I'm having green vegetables juice. And the thought of it used to make me cringe, but does taste really nice. But if anybody wants to try it, we've got some little sample cups.
Yeah, I think that'll be about it for one. Ta-da!
We'll just let you try it. Ones that were made earlier.
So we'll put that one under. Well, we'll just pass this one round because this is the fresh one. Well, just use that in there because it does drip there. Yeah.
Everybody was saying it's always best to buy organic vegetables. We actually go on Bradley Road. There's a community project there, and they do all. And people say, oh, well, they cost more, but.
Shall I pass that down and people can do it themselves?
Should we get a tray?
Well, no, you just pass them down. Look, we can start there, can't we? Yeah. They're vodka shots then. They're not mine. I sent for them off the internet.
This one's carrot, ginger, lime, etc.
So take that down. You should peel the oranges because they get the bit of the skin, but lemons and things, limes. There you go. Pass them. Okay, while you're passing them around, so you're moved on
Where
to
do you
there.
get your organic veg from? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah. Yeah. Just same for organic veg. You can buy them from the supermarket, or we go to the one there's one down Bradley Road. Yeah, Emily said there's a market on Louth, and you can on the internet have boxes delivered to you now, can't you?
Okay, so we can carry on with these then. When it's your landmine 2 there, then wheat. Because we need to
I'll
be...
just wait for them to, because they'll not listen.
Yeah, well, we need to be moving
Come on,
on.
Winter.
'Cause, yeah. That's nice. Emily was just saying you should wash the kale first.
Oh yeah, we always wash it then.
So you washed it all first?
Oh yeah.
I've never seen you all so quiet. What's the verdict? Yeah, well, you just, anything.
Anything really.
Ginger, we left ginger out of that one because some people don't like it, but I like ginger in it. So cucumbers, spinach, yeah, apples, kale,
Sorry? Kale, yeah, add kale.
kale,
Yeah.
cabbage, broccoli, anything. Softer fruits are not as good. You're better off in a blender.
It's best
Yeah.
to have like a mixture of vegetables and fruit. Yeah. One apple makes it like a sweet.
And then the wheatgrass, you can add that in with as you go along, but we've not used that today.
With the with this wheatgrass.
We grow it.
Um,
Well, you can buy it on the
with the
internet.
wheatgrass, you buy it in seed, and then you just put it in soil. Then it grows like that, like you would do cress. And then you have to put it in the blender to make it into a juice.
Or on the internet, they sell frozen, already juiced wheatgrass in an ice cube. It's quite expensive, but you can get it delivered.
You can buy it in a packet
You can buy granular.
and just add water to it. Just off the internet, yeah. But you need to get like the probably the organic one.
Can you see the water changing, Anne?
Yeah.
No.
A few people was just asking about the wheatgrass. You just buy seeds and then just grow it like cress and then just put it through your juicer and you just have one little shot. Obviously the juice, we have like a half pint glass of it every day, but that you just have like a little shot like what you've had.
We need to move on.
Or you can buy it in powder form.
Okay, has everybody had one or the other? Anybody? If you don't have to have it, it's no problem. What's the verdict? Anybody think they're horrible? Anybody think they're really nice? Yeah, they are really nice. And when you do them first thing in the morning, brilliant. But then when you bottle them up and make them cold, they are nice as well, ice cold. And you can literally, on this Jason Vale's program, he took 8 people, and for 28 days they did nothing but juice for 28 days. And they got better from diabetes, they got better from asthmas, loads of things. You would think, oh, well, you can't manage 28 days without eating things. Well, you can. The broccoli alone is equivalent to steaks and things like that. And then you can still have sweet potatoes, and you can still have rice in between there, and you can still have hot vegetables, stir-fried vegetables as a bit of a hot meal with it. That's how we've been doing it. So we're
just on up to landmine number 2, and this is wheat. It stuck in my mind because a few years ago Marco did a teaching for us about biblical eating, and it stuck in my mind. And then since then, I don't think I've hardly had any bread at all. That was something that really helped me. But Jesus said, as we know, he was the bread of life, and in biblical days, bread was the staple diet. However, the wheat offered for our consumption today is industrialized in the 21st century is completely different. We have moved so far away from the life-giving wheat of biblical times Our bread is now usually, it's just, when you look at the ingredients, it's refined, and all the goodness is removed, and harmful toxins added to it.
Preservatives.
And Felicity said, she says, what is flour and water? When you was in creches and school, you had flour and water and it made glue, didn't it? So when we're having bread, it's just gluing up our system, so to speak. Oh, that's... I know all this sounds really radical, and Felicity said it is really radical. It was radical because she was dying and it saved her life. So if you want radical results, you have to do something radical, don't you? So we decided we wanted to be radical. So it might seem it, but if you want radical results, you've got to be radical to achieve that, haven't you? Same as other things in life.
So that's finished now, Anne. So
Oh.
if you look now, we're not going to embarrass you, Anne. It's not as
mind,
bad as mine, anyway. But you can see there's a chart that you can look at, and it'll tell you what you're rich in and what you're actually...
Have you got it there?
I haven't got it with me.
I think it was on there at the beginning.
Whereabouts, Wendy?
There, look. Is that it? There.
All right, here you go then. It says this, Anne, look. It says, if the water turns black, we are detoxifying the liver. If there are black flecks, they're heavy metals. Brown indicates, I would say that's a browny colour, isn't it? Indicates cellular debris and more liver toxins. Dark green is gallbladder. Orange is toxins in the joint. Red flecks, blood clot material. White cheese-like particles and yeast from Candidiasis in the body. And white foam comes from the lymph. So I would say that's nearly like a light browny, bit peaty. Yeah, Pardon?
If you've got all of
I'll leave it on the side and you can look later.
So I was saying to Felicity, well, instead of bread, what can we have? And she makes, or you can buy it, flaxseed bread. Or we've been having spelt bread and spelt crackers. You can get spelt crackers from Tesco's, the Food Doctor
and they're really
versions.
Nice.
So there's always alternatives to have.
Okay.
Spelt bread.
Spelt
bread. And spelt crackers or flaxseed crackers. She just made them herself.
But the spelt crackers were really, really nice, weren't they? Yeah, yes. That's right. The times are different.
Anne was saying it's not the actual bread that's different. It's actually the wheat that's been corrupted.
Well, no, because they'll still put the preservatives in it and they'll still put the chemicals in it.
Spelt bread. I got it from a little Polish shop, but you can buy the spelt
if you
crackers
go online, you can get it.
You can buy it from Tesco.
You can get it, Tesco crackers, yeah. Okay, so we need to move this on because we're going to... third landmine and dairy products. What we've gone over to, but they're saying milk from the animal. Listen, it's most of the time it's been sterilised, it's been treated, it's been this, that, and the other, and so we haven't had any milk for a long while now. We're going over to they used to say soya milk was the big thing. Again, they're not recommending that anymore. What we've been using, coconut milk is really nice. Banana milk. You get bananas, put them in your blender and add water to them, and it comes out just like milk. Fridge it, it's really nice. Plenty of water in it, so it's nice and thin. Oat milks, almond milks. Almond milks are quite good for you. But dairy, this is a guy, Dr. Brian Clement, director again of Hippocrates Health Institute in America, also cites dairy as the #1 cause of cancer. That's a bit hard-hitting. I can't say yes or no to that, but this is what he's saying. He's the doctor, I'm not. As well as the potential for leukemia, virus, milk products also poison us with animal fat, harmful bacteria, and of course, lactose, to which many have become allergic. Milk, which may seem to be soothing when we drink it, is actually acid-forming and highly inflammatory in the body. In addition to these hard facts about milk, of course, the milk we now drink in the industrialized world is very different to the milk our great-great-grandparents drank. Years ago, it was totally different. Again, why? Yield and money. Getting it as cheap as they can, making as much as they can. So your grandparents and even maybe your parents did not suffer from drinking milk, but today thousands are dying from drinking it and the effects of it. So your next one, Wendy?
I'll just do this one briefly because I think most people would be aware of this. Sometimes like margarine and oil, it's sort of promoted as healthy, but obviously, no, that's not good for you. And one of the best ways to get sources of fat is from avocado pears. You can like blend them, or you can use them on crackers and make a paste for them. So that is the best way of getting the fat in a natural way.
And your processed foods is your landmine farm.
I've always been quite against this, like all the processed foods. I tend to order online now, but when I used to go shopping to Tesco, it used to take me forever because I'm looking at everything, on the ingredients, and I'm so shocked. I think, I can't have that. So I've always been quite aware of this, that most of the processed foods, just about every kind of processed foods, has been genetically modified.
Or coloured artificially.
Or coloured, and loads of salt, which we've spoke about. We've used some salt is good for you, like this one here. Celtic sea salt.
That's grey. Anything really white, I don't know if Marco agrees, but it's been bleached.
Yeah.
Probably bleached somewhere along the line. So you need it as Celtic sea salt. This you pass that
sometimes
around.
Sometimes it comes in pink.
You'll see, and even it's already open, Pete. So you can have it's a lot better for you.
So that kind of salt is good for you.
Okay.
Just a minute.
So you want 10 now, look.
Yeah. So most processed foods is riddled with salt, the wrong kind of salt and sugar, and then we're consuming it. But that's how the people who are manufacturing it and making all these millions of pounds do it, because that is good to our taste buds, and we actually get addicted to it. So that's why they want us to be addicted to it so that they can profit.
Leave that one, just that bit on, if you want to.
I think most of us, I know I've got friends who are addicted to alcohol or alcoholics, and often it can be like a sugar addiction, and this is that it can be overcome by supplementing high doses of vitamin B3. So it's just good to know that there's answers for people. Bill W., he was the founder of AA, discovered this, but was banned by the government from including it in his famous 12 steps plan.
For the AA.
So he found out that vitamin B3 was helping people come off alcohol, but he wanted to put it in his famous 12-step plan. But too much money is made by the alcohol industry and the government tax on alcohol, so he was actually banned from putting that in his 12-step program. So hopefully you're getting to see, all the corruption around food. And I absolutely hate corruption. It's horrible, isn't it? And we, as believers, if nobody else can stand up and try and expose some of this.
Okay. Now, I said that we was going to do some things as well. So this here, our bodies are either alkaline or acidic. And they don't want to be acidic. They want to err. I'm not sure if Marco agreed with this, but this was what we've been learning. We want to err on just a very slightly alkaline. 7.2, 7.4, 7 is okay, 7 being neutral, 1 being really acidic. And so because I work in an oil industry, we quite often have to check for, so I got permission for these, I didn't steal them. But anyway, it's only a bit of...
What they're saying is a lot of diseases start because our bodies are too acidic by all the wrong food that we eat in. So if we can get our bodies to be the right pH,
so if you pass one of those down that side,
healthy.
And then pass one round this side.
This is just a little...
You'll see how it pulls out and then it tears off, because I'm going to explain something for you that somebody might want to do.
It's just a little test because you can find out what your Well, everybody can do it, really, can't they?
Well, not really, because the way you do it is to pee on it. So no, not
you
really.
can.
So I'm not recommending that everybody sit and have a pee.
You can put it on your tongue.
I know you can, Wendy, but I'm going to give them. So if anybody feels like going for a little whittle, don't bring me the paper back. All right, put the paper down the toilet. But tear a bit off and take it home with you. If you're not, the only thing is, you see, it needs to be just a very light, limey colour. If it's blue, it's alkaline. If it's red, it's acidic. So it wants to be just a tinge of lime. So I'd recommend everybody tear a little bit off. There's the great big rolls on it. And then when you get home, if you're married, you can each sit on the toilet and watch each other doing your pH of your whittle. Well, wait till we get to the next one.
But if you look onto that, you'll find out the right colour, so you'll be able to see. And on this little, we can pass it round.
We'll pass it round. You'll see the scale on the thing.
The scale, it needs to be the green one.
So if you're really acidic, you can maybe take a small drink of bicarbonate of soda or something like that, as long as you haven't got a sodium allergy or anything like that. And it could just, don't be embarrassed at putting a piece in your bag. What are we like? We're all grown-ups.
Yeah, you can put it in your mouth as well.
But you can do it on your mouth as well. It's not quite as accurate
it's as accurate
as your piddle, but anyway.
Felicity was saying that every day, to keep her body the right pH, she just has half a spoonful of bicarbs in water. But like Tom says, you've got to make sure your sodium level is okay to do that. And also, because we detox in our body and trying to flush out all the toxins. Tom didn't want to do this one, so I got assigned to it.
You'll see why in a minute.
When she went to the Hallelujah Acres, as well as detoxing the body, you've got all the rubbish stored up inside of you, and this is a colonic flush. You can have it done in Abigates. Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah, Princess Diana was famous for doing this on a regular basis, but you don't have to, you can go to Abigates. Myself and Talitha, we was having the foot done, and then we was having this one done. I think you pay about £50 to have it done, but because Felicity's a nurse...
Or you can go online and buy one for 15 quid and do it yourself.
Do it yourself, It does work, and all the toxins come out. Obviously, you have to be on the toilet.
And don't be shy. It's only a little tiny thing. when Wendy and myself, you hang it on in your shower, in your bathroom, wherever. Fill it. It's got marks on it.
Fill it with what you just
slightly warm water. Then just watch what you're doing. You won't take your eye out. It's not that big. And then just turn that and wait for it to go down, and then just jump on the toilet, and it irrigates your back passage.
Everything
and
out.
I tell you, a lot of people are doing it every day. Listen, you'd be amazed at what comes out. You'd be amazed at what comes out. And they reckon, the thing that we says that if you get lots of little, we're all grown-ups, you get lots of little small, hard, like bits of black, grit, that type of thing in there, in the basin of your toilet, then that is heavy metals and heavy stuff coming out. And so you can do it in the morning, do it at night. We've had a great laugh, actually. We've been in hysterics because we make sure we watch each other while we do it. That's the joys of being married, you see. I've got to get some joys out of it. Women are okay. Women are okay. Men are not so good. I will say that. But it is really good for you. And you just hang it just on a hook on somewhere like that.
People who are trying to get better from cancer, doing the detox and the colonic flushes. And it seems quite strange to us, but most European countries are sort of familiar with doing colonics.
Well, they have B-days nearly everywhere, don't they? So that's a type of... And that's it, Wendy, I think.
Oh, I like this one. Felicity said it's well taught that often we're lacking in vitamin D, which obviously we get from the sunshine. So I like the sun, so I was quite pleased with that one. Obviously, we can't get sun here, but you can take like supplements as a result of that.
I think that's it.
So just to end with, I know, and from what I've learned, that heart disease is curable. diabetes is curable, arthritis is curable, cancer is curable, asthma is curable. Every single disease is curable. Well, from what I've learned through following these programs. So I believe that is good news to tell people.
So that was just a brief intro of it. So we're going to set a day up and we'll maybe do it all in.
I mean, we went for 4 days, so obviously
so we broke
it's
things
very
down
condensed.
really quick and only giving you some. But did anybody learn anything from that? Anybody learn? Yeah, that it's important that we watch what we're putting in. It's important that we take out stuff as well, because it'll just build up and we'll end up with a bad pH in there. We'll end up with a very acidic thing.
Yeah, water's really good, obviously.
Water, yeah, distilled water, even.
Yeah, if anybody's got any questions. I don't know what.
Well, oil is, yeah.
Mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you got something to say, Emma? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Emily's birthday.
No. Have this one. Have this one. It's only been full of water. You're okay, Emily. I could just see the joy on your face opening that Christmas morning. But you can buy them online. They pay 50 quid for them, and you can pay and you can get them for 15 quid. And so.
Has anybody got any questions? Because it's good that we've got Emily and Marco here at the same time. So if anybody's got any questions. Anybody got any questions? Do you want to come to the front? Because it'll just make it easier. Oh. If anybody's got any questions, do you want to come to the front? Lisa's got a question. And if you can help us, Emily and Marco, if we don't.
Just a thought. What about something like pigeon meat, which is in the wild?
A lot of them are saying, because I said that.
We asked that question, didn't we?
My friend goes shooting, and he brought me a couple of pheasants round and some pigeons, and in small, yeah. Well, that's what she said. She said, that's probably, if you're going to eat meat, that is the best meat to have. However, if you look at a pheasant when it's shot, it's got all the seed in its mouth that they take out, and the seed has been insecticided and as well. So just put by the time you put it.
I mean, she advocated not eating meat at all, but she says obviously
I said
people
to
are in
her
a
about
process.
pheasant and things, and she said, well, if you are going to eat meat, that in moderation, that's the best.
I was.
Organic.
Yeah. I was just thinking that some families, if there's two, one might not like to do it, but they might, you could do pigeon, you could do some nice things with pigeons. So, and is it just vegetables?
No, fruit and vegetables.
Fruit and vegetables and seeds. Yeah.
Seeds in there.
Okay.
What Emily was saying, she said if you eat in pheasant, just make sure it's organic because the other's been pumped up with antibiotics and things, so obviously you won't want to be consuming. Right. Okay. If you found it on the road, it'd be all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's only been run over by a juggernaut, that'll be fine.
Yeah.
My friend.
Has anybody else got any more questions? Did you have one, Doreen?
Well, I just thought cheese and cream are really in the milk section.
There was dairy, so it is best to avoid.
She calls it the MAD diet, the milk and dairy. Milk and dairy together. Eggs, fine, make an omelette. I made an omelette tonight just with wild mushrooms, and it was really
We had
nice.
vegetables.
With some onions and some stir-fried vegetables, because just milk and a tiny bit of water is an omelette. So.
But you can go on the website, it's called Get Well, Stay Well, and there's a Facebook page. Well, go on the Facebook page, Get Well, Stay Well, and it's got a link to the website, and then there's like Food Matters.
You can print all of this free of charge off there.
You can, Felicity, you can go on the course, but not everybody's in a position to go to Spain for 4 days, and wants to help people. She says she's been up sometimes hours and hours trying to answer emails, so she's put all the course that we went to in a download, and we've downloaded it. It only costs £25 for the full course, so you can download the whole course off her website. You can just link and pay by PayPal. But then on her website, there's loads of free things. You can go on YouTube. You can go on Revelation TV. So there's loads of free things. There's a good website called Food Matters.